We're trying a new setup. And I actually like it. Hello and welcome to my channel, The Danish Readaholic. My name is Silka and today... the microphone is fucking up my shirt. But today I am doing a long-awaited book haul. Well, not really long-awaited. I just recently acquired the book amount that I feel like I need in order to do a book haul. So here we are. I have moved my setup from, normally I'm sitting like right there. But I actually saw someone sitting like almost in the middle of their room, so you could kind of just focus a little bit more on her. And I like that. So here we are trying this new setup. I like it so far. I don't feel all squished in my little corner as I normally do. So yeah, today in this haul, I have divided it into 3 categories. The first category is fairy loot. I have 5 books in that category. Yeah. Then I have the castle, which means I won my game a month, 2 months ago? 2 months ago, I think. Maybe 3. I don't remember, but I won my game some time ago. And I have used that prize to buy books. And finally, I have my treat yourself prompt, which I've gotten twice this year. So there's 2 books in that category. So the first 2 books that I have here in the fairy loot category, which is where we're going to start, are books that I actually don't physically have here, which is a little bit strange because it's a haul. So it's recently acquired books. The reason that these books are not here where I live is because, as you can see, I only have 2 shelves. So I'm very, not strict, but maybe a little bit harder with the books that I acquire. And I only have the books here that I am very interested in and that I could see myself picking up on a whim. Because all the other books that I own, which I am still very interested in, but these are just top priority for some reason, all the other books that I own are either at my parents', that's like 2nd tier, or in storage, which is 3rd tier. The books in storage are books that I've had for a while, books that I've read that I don't see myself reaching for anytime soon, completed series that I don't like. Of course, I have completed Land of Stories, which is this shelf. It's one of my favorite series, so I want it displayed, but other series that I have completed, stuff like that, that is in storage. Anything in between storage and here are at my parents'. So the first 2 books that I'm going to talk about are at my parents' place. I will explain why they're at my parents' place. But yeah, I'm going to start off with the book that's called The Glittering Edge by Alyssa Villar, which if you've been on my channel for a while, you've probably seen my UK versus US cover thing, which I need to do again soon. I just found a contender because I have shit to say about the US cover. When this is nothing to do. I'm giving you a little teaser for how harsh I'm going to be on that video with this cover because it fucking sucks. When I found The Glittering Edge here, because I was like, oh, I need to have it so I can see what it's about, so I can talk a little bit about it. When I looked it up, I pressed the Goodreads link. I was like, good, great, we're good to go. I looked at the cover and I was like, hold on, that can't be it. This has to be published in like 2000. That's not the one. The Glittering Edge. Is it? No. First published. Damn, that's an ugly ass cover. I have to talk about it. Okay. It is it. It looks awful. It gives me nothing. It gives me 2000s urban fantasy, angels, witches, that kind of stuff. I don't like it. It's awful. But I will discuss the cover more in the UK-US version. This was just a teaser, so also for the sake of keeping it a little bit as a teaser, because you could just look it up, I'll use the UK cover here. But since I've already breached that book, let's talk about it. So The Glittering Edge is, as far as I know, an urban fantasy, or I can see that it's an urban fantasy. So basically, there are some witches that have been cursed by a wealthy family some years ago as revenge for a love gone terribly wrong. And then it basically says, if a Barian falls in love with you, you die. And then our main character's mom dies because she apparently is the latest victim of this curse. So in order to save her life, she needs to bring two enemies together on either side of this feud to break the curse. And then there's something about a star quarterback, so it gives me like YA romance or like new adult romance, sports romance thing, also combining witches, and it just doesn't sound like something I would like. I really don't think I will like this book. I am not sure I will read it, if I'm being honest. Good start on a haul. It does not sound like something for me. I don't care all that much about witchy stuff, especially if it's an urban fantasy. I like witchy stuff if it's in a world that doesn't exist. We all know how I feel about urban fantasies. I don't like it. For the star quarterback Corey Barian, doing so would mean finally saving his family from the magic that killed his mom. And for misfit witch Alonso DeLuca, it would mean convincing everyone in Idlewood, especially Penny, that he isn't the villain they believe him to be. Sorry. Very negative start to a haul. If you read it, let me know what you think, because I could be convinced. Maybe. Be very aware if you recommend it to me. I don't like urban fantasies, so it has to be a really, really good urban fantasy in order for me to give it anything above 3. And obviously I want that. It just doesn't sound like something I would like, so I'm gonna move on swiftly. So the other book that I don't have here is Where Shadows Meet by Patrice Caldwell, or Caldwell, not Cladwell, Caldwell. I don't think is an urban fantasy. It's not put down as one. It does have romantasy though, which I'm sad about. The reason that it is not here is mostly because it is a vampire fantasy, and even though that doesn't rule it out as quickly as urban fantasy does, I am picky with my vampire fantasy. Once long ago, a girl named Feyre, not Feyre, but maybe Favra, I don't know, sacrificed her wings for love. Thana, the young goddess she so willingly gave them up for, sacrificed the same love for power, but everything has a cost. Favra never got over the loss of her wings, and Thana's choices led to the life of eternal night, and later their destruction. Favra has bided her time ever since, waiting for the chance to resurrect the girl she loves, who turned her into the creature she hates. Now, 1,000 years later, Layla, the crown princess of Melikora, an ancient race that survives on human blood, the vampires, must travel to the island of the dead when her best friend is captured during an attack on her nation's capital. Along with Naya, a fierce, beautiful seer, and the last person she expected to help her, Layla forges down a dangerous path, intent on saving her friend. But nothing is as it seems. The closer she gets to her goal, the more she risks awakening an ancient evil and destroying everything she holds dear. Set in the aftermath of a war between vampires, humans, and the gods that created them, Patrice Caldwell's devastatingly romantic fantasy debut, Where Shadows Meet, centers the heart-wrenching pain of loss and the struggle of self-discovery to ask, do we choose our fates, or do our fates choose us? Which, it sounds really, really good. Definitely many, many steps up from The Glittering Edge, which I have no interest in whatsoever. This is still a book that I'm very intrigued by and will read, but currently it just doesn't make the cut for the books that are here. Hopefully I'm moving soon though. We're looking at apartments at least, so I can have all my books in one space, and that's gonna be great. Let's move this over here and then move on to the books that I have here. So we're continuing in the fairy loot realm Let's do oldest to newest. So we have this one, which is Heir of Storms. I am hoping to read this for Aurelium next month, so I think it will be read soon. It is by Lauren Hamilton Murray, or Moray, I don't know. The book itself is absolutely stunning. Like, this is what I expect from Fairy Loot. This is like the level I want, especially for the money I pay. I live in Denmark, as you probably know from the Danish Readaholic and everything, so shipping and taxes are practically the same as the subscription itself, meaning I pay double, which of course a lot of international subscribers does, but it's just expensive and I'm a student, so priorities. But this is what I expect from it. This is what I want. Let me tell you what it's about. When Blaze came into the world, she almost drowned it. Blaze, a rain singer, is born into one of the most powerful fire-wielding families in the Empire. Her birth summoned a devastating storm that resulted in the deaths of thousands. That was difficult to say for my non-native tongue. And she has spent her life as an outsider, reviled and feared. When Blaze and her twin brother Flint are selected to compete in the Choosing Right, the trials which decide the future rulers of the Empire, she's suddenly thrust into the limelight and into battle. Threats around at the Golden Palace, where intrigue and romance await with not one but two handsome suitors, the enchanting Crown Prince and a dangerously alluring newcomer at court. As her power strengthens and her fellow competitors fall, her throne is suddenly within her grasp. But in order to take the crown, she'll have to leave behind the stories that others have told about her and find the courage to write her own. I think that this sounds so cool. I like the whole I'm a water elemental born into a fire elemental magic family thing. I like that. I also have always loved like water elementals, ice elementals. That's like my favorite thing. I'm sorry, I feel so subconscious filming with just the blinds open because everyone can stare in here. So I'll close the blinds. I'm so self-conscious. I don't know why. I think it's also why I rarely film in public. But I like the whole elemental magic. That's always fun. Magical competitions. That's also always fun. So I'm super stoked about this one. This was the one, because the books that I've gotten recently, or before that from Fairy Loot, I've been like, okay, interesting. Seems cool, I guess. Maybe I'll read it. Which obviously isn't what you want from a book subscription service that you pay a lot of money for. So when I got this, I was like, yes, finally something that I'm actually excited about. So this one got a spot on the shelves. I am, however, after the next renewal of Fairy Loot, I am gonna cancel my YA subscription. I'm on the waitlist for the Romantasy and also on the waitlist for the Epic Fantasy, and then I'll figure out what I want whenever spots become available. But I just think that my reading tastes have changed a little bit. I still love fantasy, of course, but I need just a little bit more than some of these. Next up, a book that I'm super stoked about and probably gonna read next month. The Nightblood Prince. I'm stoked about this for multiple reasons, one of them being the cover. This is the most beautiful book that I own. I think it is perfection. I love the kind of monochromatic with the blue tones and then the pop of red that is in there, and it's not monochromatic 100% because there is flowers and everything, but it's kept in these very cool tones, and then we have the pop of red and a few little like brown gold-ish flowers here and there. I absolutely adore it. It is so beautiful. So definitely one of my favorite covers that I own. Just beautiful. Maybe I should do a video on that, like favorite covers. The night Faye was born, a prophecy was made. She would one day become the empress of all empresses. Torn from her family as a child and raised in the palace to one day marry the crown prince of the most powerful empire in the land, Faye has only ever known loneliness. When the opportunity arises to seize her own destiny for the first time in her life, Faye sets out to hunt a legendary tiger knowing it might cost her everything. What she doesn't expect is to fall under the mercy of Yuxu, the beautiful runaway prince from a rival kingdom. Blessed by the knight harboring a dangerous magic and capable of commanding an army of deadly vampires, Yuxu could be the key to Faye gaining more than just her freedom. But to outrun destiny, Faye must spark a wave of events that will change the world as she knows it. Torn between two princes and plagued by nightmares of bloodshed, she finds that the stars might be more inescapable and more irresistible than she ever considered before. It sounds so good. There is, of course, the vampire thing, which doesn't bother me in this. Maybe because none of the main characters, as far as I'm aware, are vampires, so it doesn't bother me all that much. You can just command vampires, which sounds fucking cool. I already have a feeling that I'm gonna be the one rooting for Yuxu because he seems like the dark and mysterious dude, which I love. We already know that that's my type when it comes to men in books. Not men in reality. I don't want dark and mysterious. I want straightforward. Otherwise I don't get it. But in books, give me slow burn. And I think this is gonna be that. And also probably enemies to lovers or rivals or, I don't know, dislike, something. Something in that realm. The final fairy loot book that I have is one that came through the door yesterday. That is this one, Immortal Consequences. This one is by I.V. Marie. And when I read what this was about, I was like, well, in the beginning, like the first sentence, I was like, oh, magical school, really? I'm not really feeling that, but it took a turn. It took a turn. So let me tell you. Welcome to Blackwood Academy, a school located at the edge of the afterlife. Once a pupil passes through the academy's arched gates, there is no way out. Except if they triumph at the decennial. I don't know if that is what it's called, but that is what I call it. Winning allows a single student to be granted a choice: graduate and join Blackwood's magical elite, or cross over to the mysterious, unknown other side. Ren and August are fierce rivals, their every encounter treading the line between hate and burning desire. Irene has never cared for rules and would destroy everything to win, even her only friend Masika. Olivier had almost given up on securing the nomination, but now he'll do anything to keep his beloved Emilio with him. Each of these 6 students has their own motivation to win, and their own secrets to hide, but they aren't the only ones playing Blackwood's game, and a sinister shadowy force threatens existence as they know it. First of all, 6 points of views is a lot, but I'm excited. I will definitely have favorites, and I'm excited to figure out who it is. Seems like there's like a magical competition, and also the whole thing about the afterlife, and like winning gives you a choice: graduate and join Blackwood's magical elite, or cross over to the mysterious unknown other side. I have a feeling that that other side is going to come into place, especially, you know, immortal consequences. Consequences! I think there will be consequences for something. Also, the cover's stunning. The castle in the back, beautiful. Which is apparently an academy. I don't know. I'm super hyped about this. When I read it, as I said in the first, like the welcome to Blackwood Academy, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no. And instantly I was like, oh, this is gonna go on my parents' shelves. But no, this is gonna go on my shelves and will probably be a book that I'm gonna be reading really soon because, excuse me, it sounds fucking cool. The next category, the treat yourself. Because I got 2 of those this year. I don't remember when. I think I got one in July because I bought one in July. And then I got one earlier this year and I bought a book earlier this year. So the book that I bought earlier this year is a book that I've wanted on my shelves for a while, but I have read it a while ago, even longer ago. I wanted it because I like the book a lot. The book that I finally acquired, and I will be collecting the series, is Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. I read this because everyone loved it, loves it. So I was like, fine, I'll read it. It's not that long. I can do it. And then I read it and I was like, I fucking love this book. So I'm on that train as well. And now I want the series. I have only read, I think I read the first 3. I'm actually not 100% sure, but I think I've read the first 3. I will reread them though, at some point. But for now, I have the first one. I have asked for all of the ones that I haven't read, which I think is from 4 and then until whatever number we're at. I've asked for those for birthdays. It has already been my birthday, but I didn't get any of them. But it will say on my wish list for Christmas and everything. So, and then the ones that I do have, have read, I'm thinking of just buying them myself whenever I get the chance. Or I've put them on like separate wish list of random stuff that I wish for that my boyfriend has. So if he ever wants to give me like a just because present, he has inspiration. He asked for that, just FYI. Here we are at the beginning of that collection. Hopefully I'll get the entire thing and will eventually be able to make a shelf in the smaller bookshelves where I can just put all of these and kind of theme it. If you don't know what Every Heart a Doorway is about, it is basically the beginning of the series called The Wayward Children. In this series, how I normally explain it is like we follow kids like the Pevensies, isn't that what they're called, from Narnia, and Alice from Alice in Wonderland. But when they get back from their magical world, and it's like nobody really believes them and what happens to them. And for example, Lucy Pevensey, she really wants to go back to Narnia, but she can't until Narnia kind of invites her back, you know? So what happens to those kids who are desperate to go back into their world, but can't because they have to wait for the world to invite them back if they get to go back. So that is what this is about. It is a home for those children, and then we basically follow what happens at this home, which is really, really good. I think it's something about every other book takes place in one of the worlds, and then, so like this one, it's the first one, so it takes place at the home. The second one takes place in a world, third one at the home, so on and so forth. And I just love it. It's so great. The books are very short, which is very nice because you actually don't need any more than that. This was plenty to get like a good story out of it. And also with the second one, I loved it. So definitely recommend the series if you haven't already read it, but I think everyone has. So the Treat Yourself I got in July, I spent on a book that I have been eyeing for a while. And now I've also read it. And it's this one. It is The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. I think I've talked about it in my mid-year freakout. But this was such a great story. I absolutely loved it. In the beginning, I was like, oh, this is moving really, really slow, which it keeps doing, but not because we're moving really slow towards the action. It's because it's supposed to be a little slow, a little cozy, a little slice of life in this magical world, which I'm not used to, but I loved it. So we follow our fortune teller, what she calls Tao. And basically she goes from town to town in her little wagon and tells small fortunes. What is a small fortune, you ask? Well, that could be, what is it? It's basically anything small. Let me just see if I can find an example. All right, so I found an example. It's in one of the first chapters, and she basically says, understand, I tell small fortunes only. No war, no politics, no harvests or famines. Those are strictly for seers with the greater vision. I don't deal in such things. And then the person she says this to is like, okay, got it. And then she says, I see in your future a new tunic, a green one, and you'll burn your fingers next Maker's Day while rolling wicks. So mind you, put some honey on it straight away. It's just so sweet and so cozy. Then she meets this ex-mercenary and ex-thief, and they go on this little quest together, and I won't say any more than that. I think I did in my last video, but I'm not going to say more now. It's a really good book. It's not the longest in the world, but it's just such a good time and very cozy. It was perfect for summer where people normally read romance, and I also want that light and fluffy feel, but I'm not into romance that much, so this was perfect for me. Because it gave me light and fluffy without having to read romance. That being said, we're now moving into my castle, which is when I win my TBR game, the animation game. I get to buy books. I have recently changed the limit from 10 to 6, which is what I have. So I think I'll get to buy 6 for the castle and maybe 1 or 2 for the treat yourself. I think 1, it makes sense. But the first book I have to show is a contemporary, actually a romance, but still. This is by Lauren Asher and it's called My December Darling, a small town Christmas novella. I am not sure if this is some part of a series. It didn't look like it on Goodreads, so I think I'm good. My plan with this is to read it during Christmas, obviously, which is soon-ish. But basically we have Catalina and Luke. Catalina is the maid of honor at her sister's wedding, and her sister is marrying her ex, which is a little strange to me, but it's fine. And Luke is the ex's best man, and also kind of, I don't know if he's in love with Catalina or he just, you know, wants her to fall in love with him, but yeah. So basically, Catalina is trying to avoid Luke and trying to be like, no thanks. And Luke is like, how you doing? You know? That's what I'm getting from this. And then it's set during Christmas and a wedding and such. And I don't know, I saw it at a bookstore in Prague and I was like, is this where I get to use my castle for books? Because the books were cheap, way cheaper than in Denmark. And also, it's very floppy and I love it. So this is a book that I will read in December. It is not that long and I am trying to figure out like a December kind of TBR because I kind of want it to be a little bit different, maybe less fantasy, more December, winter, Christmas focused books, which is usually contemporaries and stuff. The next book I have is a book that I am currently reading, and that is Wings of Starlight by Alison Saft. This is a retelling of Queen Clarion from the Disney Fairies books. However they started, I think it was books first and then turned into movies. So far I am at chapter 4, so I'm not that far, but so far I'm liking it. My best friend Caitlin has already read it and she loves it, but she also loves the Disney Fairies. Not saying that that is the reason, but I haven't grown up with the Disney Fairies in the same way that she has, so we might feel differently about it, but so far I'm liking it. All I can picture though are the fairies from the Disney Fairies. I don't see this beautiful lady, I see the queen from the Disney Fairies movies, which she's also beautiful, but it's not the same person. But I'm excited to see what happens. I have a feeling that I know because of one of the Disney Fairies movies, so I know a little bit about her backstory. So I have a feeling that I kind of know where it's going, and I'm gonna be a little heartbroken at some point. Let me tell you what it's about. It's been centuries since a warm season fairy has crossed into the winter woods. And while most fear the legends of monsters lurking in the frozen lands, Clarion can't help being intrigued by winter's stoic beauty. However, under the watchful eyes of the current monarch and the court's seasonal ministers, Clarion has little time to dwell on daydreams while the days to her coronation dwindle away. That is until reports of a monster crossing from winter into spring make their way to the palace. Claren sees defeating this threat as an opportunity to prove she is worthy of her new role. But instead of finding a monster at the edge of winter, she finds Mallory, a young guardian of the winter woods. Together, they form an unlikely bond as they race to save their land. As their alliance warms to something more, they will discover there is a reason a warm season fairy and a winter fairy must not be together, and the cost could be just as deadly as the monsters that prowl the winter woods. Heartache already. But so far it's really good. Alright, I have 4 books left, 4 books in one series, so it will be quick, also because I think everyone and their mother knows this series. I bought a box set of the Hunger Games. I do already have another edition of this one, the first one, the Hunger Games. But I've always wanted these beautiful editions. I just didn't know if I wanted them in paperback or if I wanted them in hardback. But now I found them in paperback and they're nice and, you know, floppy, which I like. So here we are. So we have The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, which is just as beautiful, Mockingjay, stunning, and finally The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I don't think that they have made these or made Sunrise on the Reaping in this edition yet. I'm hoping they will, otherwise I'll be fucked. But I just absolutely love these editions. I love the pattern, the leaves, everything on it. I decided to go for these as my Hunger Games books. I have also just read the first trilogy. I haven't read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes yet, or Sunrise on the Reaping. I am waiting on audiobooks from the library. I think for Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I am 94th in line or something, and for the Sunrise on the Reaping, I am 555th in line. It'll take a while. But yeah, if you don't know what this is about, welcome to planet Earth. You must have just been born. Basically, The Hunger Games follows Katniss Everdeen in a dystopian world where every year 24 kids under the age of 18 are chosen for a deadly game where they basically have to kill each other. And the winner is then crowned victor, and so on and so forth. So we follow Katniss Everdeen at the 74th Hunger Games as she has to compete in the Hunger Games where they have to kill each other. That's it. That's what I'm gonna tell you. It's, for me, it's also like a little bit of a commentary on the world. There is definitely some parallels that are scary, you know, but they're really good books. They're really phenomenal books, and I'm glad that I read them. I watched the movie before reading them, and then when I read the first one, I was like, I see the differences, but I also know what's gonna happen, so it doesn't really give me any new feelings towards it, which kind of still is how I feel, but I also have gotten better at separating books and movies, so they're really good. I do want to read Sunrise on the Reaping before watching the movie whenever that comes out, so I think that was also why I started tackling this series and kind of, you know, getting on with it, because I've had the first one for so long and I've read the first one before, years ago. And now I was like, okay, so they're talking about doing a movie on Haymitch because the book on Haymitch's year came out. I love Haymitch as a character. He is probably my favorite. Not so much in the books, though. He's bothering me a little bit in the books. I still like him, but But he's one of my favorite characters in the movies, and I've always been intrigued about how he won when he won. So the fact that she actually wrote his games and they're making that into a movie, I am super excited about. And I think that being released was what made me like, okay, I gotta do it now. I gotta read the entire series. I have to. So here we are. I'm listening to them as an audiobook, so I don't even know why it was necessary to get these fancy editions, but they're beautiful and I love them. So that was my book haul. Should I do a thumbnail? Let's do a thumbnail. I think I look scared. Alright, you see the stack behind me, it's nice. I'm always dreading filming these longer videos, like hauls, and I know my wrap up is gonna be killing me, but I'm not gonna do that today, I think. So, thank you for watching. Please let me know if you have read any of these books, especially The Glittering Edge. Is it worth it? Should I read it? Should I get over myself and just read it? And then I can bitch talk about it afterwards. I'm just not good at DNFing, so that is my issue with it. I don't know if I will like it, and I'm not good at DNFing. Maybe if I can find it free, like as an audiobook somewhere, I would be tempted. Yeah, but thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment if you've read any of these. Tell me which one I should start with, maybe. Also, again, the whole thing with The Glittering Edge. If you just want to let me know that you're here, but don't know what to comment, please leave that one emoji with the book stack. I think that there is one, right? I think I used it the other day, so there should be. Or maybe that was like a fever dream, because, you know, I am sick, so. Anyways, I think that that exists. If it doesn't, just any book will do. It's fine. So, that was strange. I'll just leave now. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and until I see you next time,